How does that make you feel?
Fucking amp the fuck up.
Getting so hard. Here, this part. It's coming. And so am I.
Oh,
Right there.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to another episode of On the Throne with Dick, and shout out to Senjin Boychuk there, for the incredible intro outro music. Recently married, so we've been saying that for a couple weeks now, so I don't know how long you can go with recently for, but fuck it, I'll do it as long as I feel. It's my podcast, I make the fucking rules.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. And on this week, we have special guest Christopher, aka the Bearded Clam.
It's actually Gingerbeard Barbell, but the bearded clam's cool. I can fuck
Tomato,
with
tomato, same shit,
Yeah,
different
it's all
pile,
the same.
right?
that. Absolutely.
That beard is fucking gorgeous, by the way.
It's a work in progress. It goes
Look
for
at
miles.
that thing.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. My wife and I were just actually going down your Instagram page, and I'm like, the dude's got to be Irish, right? And then she's like, or Scottish, and I'm like, I don't know. That 4-leaf clover says Irish. She's like, he might be Scottish. Next picture down, you got Irish pride across your back.
Oh yeah.
I think he's Irish.
My grandpa's side. Yeah, absolutely.
I just got not just, but they keep updating it, my ancestry.ca.
Yeah.
So my wife is very mixed, where she, her dad came in through the southern half of the U.S. on the slave trade, and somehow their family made their way north eventually. And her mom was on the third ship after the Mayflower. Her mom's side, not her mom. That make her fucking ancient.
Yeah.
But so her mom's side of the family came over on the third ship after the Mayflower to Plymouth Rock, and they landed, they settled, they immigrated everywhere, or migrated, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
And so her dad, my wife, is 20% Nigerian. She's a Nigerian princess. I don't tell many people that because Nigerian princesses and kings and princes and stuff tend to be assassinated a lot.
Yeah.
So I just
for her protection.
Yeah, I'm protecting my wife. Yeah, she says I don't do shit for her. I protect her every day.
100%.
Yeah, and then on my side, I'm very, very Caucasian.
You look very Caucasian.
Right. Well, my wife, she's pretty white too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You would never be able to tell that her family is black. My kids could have been part black, and whatever. It's cool. I got street cred. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on my side, I think the last update was 40% Scottish and Irish.
Yeah.
And I know my grandfather immigrated. This is actually going to be a future episode. My grandfather immigrated from England in the 60s because my aunt had bronchitis. And there was only 2 places in the world that could treat it, and that's Canada and Australia.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, I actually saw his papers where he had to come over by boat, and he had to work on the ship to get the family over.
His papers?
Yeah. So, and then they recently updated, which I knew I had French in me.
Yep.
Sorry.
I bet.
Tabernacle.
Yeah.
And so because my great grandmother, when we all found each other, my dad was put up for adoption.
Yeah.
Right. So in 64. So when we all found each other, it was 50 years later, 2013.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy. And I met my great grandmother, who was 96 at the time, I think. And she's still kicking, not too far from where I was living. Her name was Jeannie Hrum. So very, very French.
Oh, yeah.
And so we knew that there was French there. But when you look at the ancestry thing and you zoom in on it, there's not part of the French side at all.
Yeah.
But back before Europe was split, there was the French islands. And now they've updated it, and they're showing that part of the French islands that, I not where I'm from, but where my ancestors come from.
Mm-hmm. That's
Second
awesome.
Second generation Canadian right here.
My man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. So what's going on with you, buddy?
Oh, I've been. I just got home on R&R on Monday, so I was up for 3 weeks. Just got home. just been hanging out with the family, training. I don't know if you watch my stuff at all, but I'm up at the butt crack of dawn every single morning, 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
trying to
that's
get all
wild.
Well, it's the schedule that I maintain up there, so I maintain it at home, and I get all my training and everything that I need to get done in the morning before my family's out of bed.
Well, you don't get a body looking like Hercules, you know, fucking by getting up at 6. You got to get up at 3.
3. Yeah.
You want to go from 0 to hero. You got to follow Christopher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Man, like your legs are the size of my head, man.
I work hard on those.
Yeah, I bet. No, that's good. A lot of guys that I see, you know, like, oh, look at my biceps. Yep. Oh, I'm so big, like my lats. I eat dumbbells and tribal tats for breakfast, and they got like skinny legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are important.
Yeah, man. Like you work on everything.
Well, and a lot of that base came from I used to compete in powerlifting, so the big 3 lifts, I did those for a long time, and then I got out of that because I kept getting injured. I've ruptured a few tendons, so yeah. And the goal now is to take care of my family, and then the training comes second. So unfortunately, I've had to adapt to change, which messed with my ego for a long time. Now I don't really give a shit. I just, do what I do. So,
but your wife, though, right? She's got to love like the bod.
She does. She appreciates the hard work.
So you don't take roids? Are you all natural or what?
I mean, I take a little testosterone now.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
HGH, right?
No growth.
No growth. So that's all like.
No, it's just
that's
TRT.
all you, baby.
Yeah, just TRT. I don't do anything else. Now back in the day when I used to compete, I did.
I was gonna say like that doesn't affect your ball size, right? Like you're all natural down there, right? They're not. Like,
yeah, and that's the weird misconception with PEDs, and like your balls do shrink up. Let's be real, but they do come back, and a lot of people think that you get sterile, like you can't have kids, and I've got 2 beautiful boys, so
yeah.
Obviously, that's a myth. So.
Hey, I hope I didn't overstep by asking that. That kind of sort of just came out. I have no filter. So like,
no, I don't mind that at all. I mean, I'm 300 pounds, so, I try to keep it real with everybody.
What's a guy that has to work out that much? How much do you eat?
What are my macros at right now? So I'm at like 320 grams of protein, 400 grams of carbs, and about 150 grams of fats right now.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I do like 80 grams of protein a day.
Bro.
And I'm like actively like, oh, I'm going to have like a glass of this kind of Fairlife milk from Costco.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a protein bar. And then I'm going to and then I'm checking, and you know what? So I found that with zinc, protein, and magnesium, my hair's starting to grow back.
Really?
Yeah. Like, dude, this all right here,
that's all fresh?
That was all gone like a few months ago.
Yeah. See, I have the same thing going on. Well, where that tattoo is now.
Yeah.
I have that. What do we call that? It's like the sex offender crown or some shit like that. Like it grows real thick back here, but this is all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you shave that thing, don't you?
I do every other day. I've always shaved my head, so it's kind of a natural look for me. It wasn't weird when my hair started falling out. So
I shave mine too, but ever since I've been going bald, right? But ever since it started coming back up top, I've let it grow, and the wings are coming back, right?
Man.
And I could probably grow like a little bit of a skullet, and if this keeps coming back, maybe a mullet. I might be like a teen heart, not a teen. Whoa, I might be like a mid-30s housewife heartthrob here soon.
So I tried to grow that. I don't know. Did you ever watch the show Vikings?
I've seen it once. Yeah.
Okay, so Floki had this like fucking big rat tail thing off the back of his head. So I tried to give that a run for a little while, and then when your hair gets real thin, it kind of turns into baby hair.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what was going on back there, and it just stopped growing. So I gave up on it, and now we're here. So I just replaced the hair with tattoos. So
it's found a new point of entry. So
yeah, and I'd much rather have that than a fucking head of hair any day of the week. So
yeah. Oh fuck yeah. That's you work on the North Slope of Alaska, right?
Correct.
Nice. So that's the difference between American oil and gas workers and Canadian oil and gas workers.
Yeah.
In Canada, we're not allowed to grow beards.
Is that respirator?
Yeah.
Yep.
And in some cases, my mustache might also be viewed as too long.
Yeah.
But YOLO, they can't take it all away from me, right? So
Yeah.
fuck
So
them.
depending on what your job is on the slope determines whether you can have a beard or not. So because confined space stuff, you're wearing respirators. And, depending on what part of the field. So I work specifically for Hillcorp, and Hillcorp bought out BP a few years ago. So their section of the field, and I think like there's the field split, like half the field is union and then half isn't. So that kind of determines whether the operators get to wear beards or not. So because like we'll go to some part of the field and they're clean shaven and they're like, I wish I could grow a fucking beard. But then you'll go to the other part of the field and dude's got a beard down to the middle of his chest, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? So
yeah. Well, right now I'm on a project close to home on the pipeline.
Yeah.
And pipeliners, turns out, they get to grow beards.
Fuck yeah.
And last week my beard was thick. Like boy, that's thick. That boy's thick
boy.
right?
Yeah.
He's a thick ass boy. And like my wife was like, hey, that kind of, me not being home a lot, sometimes the mustache gets in her face, but the beard, right? She's like, you need to trim that up a bit. And so I just took it off because my TikTok, my niche everywhere, it's just the mustache.
It's the mustache,
right?
yeah.
So I trimmed it up, and you can see like around my lips, I trimmed up the mustache a bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I even practiced kissing in the mirror when I trim up. Like, can I feel the hair?
Yeah.
And if I can't, like, call it good.
So you're identified with that mustache then?
I identify as the mustache.
And I identify as the beard. It would be fucking weird at this point in my life. Like people ask, what's your end game there? And I'm like, well, it's gonna stay. Like my kids, that's all they know. Like they'd be stranger danger if I shaved it off. They wouldn't come near me. And my wife, I've always had a beard since I've been with her. We've been together 9 years. So
nice. I've been with my wife so this year on TikTok, Facebook. This year on Facebook, I wrote happy 17th anniversary. But last year, I looked back and I also wrote happy 17th anniversary. So like, is this year 17 or is this year 18? I don't know. But either way, we're creeping up on 20. And I know we've been married 11 years coming up here in November.
Yeah.
So that part I do know. Yeah.
Ballpark.
Yeah, it's the only part that matters, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you do?
I work on a vac truck.
So you're a vac truck driver?
Oh, I'm a swamper. I've been a swamper for 5 years.
Okay.
I train a lot of the new drivers. I train a lot of the new guys.
Yeah.
My boss pretty much views me as an operator. He said that. He's like, you're an operator. I don't know why you don't get your license. And I'm like, I don't want to drive. I have no interest.
Yeah.
I have no interest. I'm safer to myself and the motoring public if I do not drive. 100%. I can barely keep a half ton between the ditches. So
the center lines. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I can't. Maybe if I put more time and effort into it, I could get the shift pattern, but I just don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And in the summertime, I go building roads for the summer. Right. And I do that because the schedule in the winter is grueling. And it is like, it takes a toll mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And I see the guys I work with that do that year round. They're unhappy. They're miserable. They want to just kill everyone around them all the time, or they quit.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to quit. And I like working there and I want to keep it that way. So I go work on the road crew, which I took when the oil field was slumping, when we were in a downturn.
Yeah.
And I need to keep busy. So I did that. And turns out, the road crew is also mentally and physically taxing in its own way.
Yeah.
And if I did that year round, luckily it's not year round. It ends when the snow flies or when it gets too cold to do it. So if I stayed there year round, I'd probably murder people and want to pull my hair out and quit and hate life.
Yeah.
So by the time, I get tired of the winter shit, the summer stuff starts. Yep. And when the summer stuff's just starting to piss me off, it's time to go back. I'm refreshed. And
our
yeah,
our stuff's the exact same way. So it's the same crew all year round, but our work changes from summer to winter.
yeah,
So like we do a lot of dirt work during the summer, and we're right towards the end when you're fucking tired of shoveling and tired of pushing. I mean, we do most of the stuff with equipment, but when we're working around wells, you don't always get to use equipment, and then
yeah.
like you're praying for that first freeze so the dirt fucking is done.
That's what we want
Yeah.
in Alberta as well, because wintertime means big money, right? It's like,
Yep.
hey, that shit's frozen, let's get in there, right?
Yep.
It's freeze up, that's when the big boys come to play.
Yep.
And then do you guys have breakup? They call it spring breakup in the
Oh yeah.
North.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We haven't really had much of a breakup the last couple of years. Well, some of us haven't, some places do, but
Yep.
we haven't really had much of a breakup. It's been, last spring kind of went winter, and it was a mild winter. It went winter, right into like dry, hot, and fire season, like the whole summer. Some of the fires are still going right now up north, and the whole summer was like that. I was evacuated twice myself this summer, and it's a pretty surreal feeling, man. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I was gone. We had a bunch of fires right where I live in Washington. We discussed that before, but there was a bunch of fires around here as well. But I was up on the slope when that was going on. But a bunch of my people had to be evacuated. And some of the people lost their places, and it was kind of sad to see. So
yeah, that's shit. I know Fox Lake, Alberta, lost like an entire town. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of structures. I know. Shit. There was definitely some places that took a little bit of a hit, but for the most part, infrastructure stayed like intact.
That's good.
Like fire crews did amazing, and I learned something. When shit like that happens in the woods, they don't try to put it out. They're there just to keep it at the woods, and if it gets close to town and infrastructure, then they're like they're there to do asset protection, right?
Yep.
Other than that, they let her buck, right? Well, it's good for the forest for one.
Yep. Well, yeah, because the government, I don't know how the government is there, but federally owned land, they're not real keen on upkeeping and maintaining the forests. So you'll see a lot of fed land burn, and you'll see a lot of privately owned land tends to burn a lot less. So
yeah, well, we could get into a whole other episode of the podcast about our government.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You said you're from Seattle, right? Originally?
No, I'm from Eastern Washington originally. I lived over in the Seattle-Tacoma area.
Yeah, you were saying it's kind of shit now.
Kind of.
I was there last, I want to say 2015 or 2016. That's when the last time I was there.
Yep.
And I love Seattle, the Emerald City, man.
I hate it because so before I went to the oil field, I was a commercial mason, and so most of the block and brick work we did was downtown Seattle, and yeah, it was crazy to watch the camps around the job sites, and like we'd be up on the scaffold on the edge, and like I watched a lady bent over at the waist, like head almost touching the ground for 2.5 hours straight, like did not move, and and then
that shit's sad.
It is sad to see. She snapped out of it and just stood up and started walking, and it was
where I'm from in Edmonton. Shout out to Albertan, by the way, Albertans. In Washington State, I know definitely in Seattle, we don't pay taxes when we go there because you guys don't have state tax, right?
Correct. No, we don't have a state income tax.
State income tax, that's right. So when we go there as Albertans, because we don't have PST, I believe it is, provincial sales tax.
Yeah.
When we go there, that's the equivalent of your state income tax. And the lady's like, "Where are you from?" "Oh, from Alberta." She's like, "Let me go back and take a look at something." I didn't pay. She's like, "You tell everyone where you're from, no matter where you go." So every time I went somewhere, I'm like, I'm showing my Alberta card, right?
Yeah.
And didn't pay a single dime in tax while I was there.
Tax is so high here, but we don't have that state income tax. I don't pay a double tax, so it's worth it. Like, so I work with my brother on the same crew, and he lives in Oregon, like Eugene area, and he has to pay the federal tax, and then he's got to pay that state income tax at the end of the year too. So he gets that. that
Yeah.
double tax.
The tent city going on here right now in Edmonton. I just moved back to Edmonton after, 4.5 years away.
Yeah.
And I lived here for 6 years prior. And man, the the government policies, the raising the taxes, how unaffordable it is to live in general in Canada. Like, you guys got it easy in America compared. Like, we're paying out the ass here right now. We're one of the most unaffordable places to live in the world in Canada, right? And it's insane, man. And the government just keep raising taxes, and Alberta, you see, and everywhere, it's everywhere right now. But Edmonton's taken a hit, as well as a lot of other major cities, and it's sad to see. I watched a girl. I'm pretty sure she died. There was a health services truck pulled up. 3 girls. 2 of them were checking the one's pockets. Well, she was like, like that. And
like
we went for
robbing her while she was ODing.
They were all sitting together, and she was ODing, and I'm pretty sure like they checked her pockets. They were cleaning her up. And the Alberta Health Services van, the AHS, was sitting right there, lights flashing. And I went into the restaurant for something to eat. I come back out, drive by them again. The 2 girls are like leaned over, like they're upset and they're crying, and the other girl's gone. And like, you see that shit on the regular. I saw 2 of them giving each other what I thought to be, at least that's what I told myself, the flu shot the other day. Right? Right?
Man, yeah.
And
yeah.
I live in a pretty rough area that they're fixing up. It's cheap. It's cheaper to live over here right now. They're gentrifying it. They're making it nice. They're cleaning it up, but it's still a little rough. The biggest tent cities are just down the road.
Yeah.
And, there was a homeless encampment out back behind my garage there last week. And I sent it to my wife. I took a picture, and I was taking all the garbage. I'm like, what the fuck? And she called the whatever number to call to get rid of it. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're just trying to, there's a warm spot. It's getting cold at night right now. I'm like, fuck, just let them be. Yeah. And she's like, I get what you're saying, but in a couple weeks, if they think this is a good place for them to hang out, in a couple weeks, it's going to be really cold. They're going to start burning barrels and shit, and they're going to set our garage on fire.
Yeah.
And, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Right. And like an hour later, they were being shooed away, and I just felt bad, but some of them have really nice tents. Like, they have, stepped up the tent game. And I say that jokingly sometimes, but like, I'm glad they at least have a tent they can stay in to shelter them a little bit.
So we were doing a brick job in Tacoma on Hilltop, and it was at a Bates College, and there was a bunch of homeless camps around the college.
Yeah.
And so one day they had a big hunting tent, wall tent, and it caught on fire and it burned up a dude's car that was in the trades and blah blah blah, normal shit. And not even a week later, the same dude was back with a brand new $500 wall tent, in the same place. They came and cleaned up all the burnt rubble and all that shit, and he was right in the back in the same spot.
He was probably the working poor, right? You see that a lot. Vancouver,
he was
Canada,
not.
I see that.
He was not the working poor.
So I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm kind of at the tail end of a cold.
Yep.
And I was getting over one. This is a month now.
Yeah.
I was getting over one, and then I came home, and I spent some time with the kids who were at school all day. Well, one of my kids are. Fucking Thanksgiving, man. Spent time with a bunch of kids and some family. And Monday morning, I woke up just and it came back. Yeah. That's another one.
Another
DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fucking this time I stopped the shit. Usually I let her go. I let her buck. Hey, I'm gonna feel like shit for a week or whatever. You wreck your havoc. I don't like taking Tylenol and shit like that.
Yeah.
But this time I'm like, no. We're stomping this shit out. I took Tylenol, Mucinex. You know how it is when you start getting sick, you're like, man, I should really start taking vitamins and change my life.
Yeah.
Right? Start taking all these vitamins, right? Yeah. And then you start feeling better and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna keep on that vitamin train. And
Yep.
then like 2 days later, you're just like, tomorrow I'll get on that vitamin train again. And then it never happens until the next time your throat starts to tickle.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of where I was at. And I think I'm gonna get on that vitamin train full time.
I'm on it. I've been on it. I'm very, very, very regimental when it comes to that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still get sick. So
What the fuck am I gonna do with vitamins then? If
Yeah.
you're still getting sick off vitamins, the whole point of taking
Well,
the vitamins.
I don't get sick often though. It's once every year, maybe 2 years. I get
Neither
like
do
a
I.
fucking whoop your ass like coldness, sickness.
I've had COVID twice.
Same.
Oh my god! The first time, no symptoms. Didn't feel a damn thing. I was in camp up north, and I had to quarantine in my room for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Well, all day, 24 hours a day. But I went live on TikTok for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I grew my following pretty good during that time. And I got paid 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day I got paid to be there. I was like,
Yeah.
hell yeah. And I had to
Fuck
deliver
yeah.
my food. The second time, kicked my fucking ass.
Yep.
Like I slept for 17 hours straight.
Ugh.
And like I probably should have been off like 3 or 4 days sooner than I was.
Yeah.
Because I was at work in the truck and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was passed out for like, as if I could be sitting, I was sitting sleeping. And then, you know, I had a hard time getting in and out of the truck and just having a hard time moving. And finally I went to the safety guy and I'm like, hey bro, we need to test for this shit right now. Cause my body's telling me to stop and I ain't going to stop if it ain't COVID.
Yep.
So he's like, you know, you don't have to stop anymore if it's COVID. We got rid of all that shit. You can continue on as business as usual. And I'm like, it was COVID. My brain's telling me to stop. So I did that, and at 15 minutes, you're supposed to wait. Came back, and like, as soon as they hit the little thing, positive, positive. And it was, I'm like, take me home, brother, because I'm going to bed.
Fucking night time.
Yeah. And in like 4 days, I was good.
I think they're doing quarantine up there again, like when people get COVID now. So they were really, really, really strict when COVID hit. All that shit, everybody quarantined and blah blah blah, and then they kindly just went, fuck it, like you get sick, it is what it is. And then
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, you go ahead.
I was gonna ask, like, what is life like up there when like you're working, like why do they call it the slope for one? And like what is it like? Is it like a freezing cold Arctic tundra? Is it, you know, like what is the worst conditions you've worked in?
So I don't know why they call it the slope, because it's fucking flat as shit right on the ocean. But I've always tried to figure that out. But so during the summer, the hottest temperatures I would see were like 70. I
don't know what that is. That's freedom units. I'm Canadian.
Oh yeah, 70 freedom units. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but
yeah,
it's not that warm. The humidity is mild, but the rooms, so like the camps up there don't have air conditioning. They just have heat. So the rooms, that's what gets hot. Like I've seen the rooms at 90 degrees freedom units.
Well, I know 100 is 40 Celsius.
Yeah. So it's close. But the winters, yeah, it's Arctic weather during the winters. I think the worst I've seen when we were installing pipe last year for a separator was negative 35 degrees, but I saw wind at like 30 miles an hour. So I think the wind chill factor was like negative 60, negative 70, something like that.
I know at minus 40 freedom units in Celsius meet up, and then they fuck off the other way again. So So it was cold as fuck, is what you're saying. Like that's brutal.
I enjoy the cold. I like during the winter when it's in negatives, I wear shot bibs and I wear a sweatshirt. And I don't. Yeah, it's the heat's what bugs me. It's fucking fat.
I wear the same thing year round, right? Except for in the winter, I'll put on like a wool sweater underneath.
Yep.
Like I'll wear my shirt and then a wool sweater, and then I'll put like a toque on. But I wear the same shit year round. if it's cold, it's cold. You can't bundle up enough for the cold, you know. And I gotta be comfortable because comfort. If I'm comfortable, I'm safe.
Yep.
You know, I gotta be able to bend and maneuver and shit like that. And
Yep.
if I'm wearing too many layers and I can't move, you know, dodge shit, you know. So like I wear what I can, you know, to stay relatively okay. And if I have to move more, I just move more.
Now you guys wear flame retardant gear as well, right?
Yeah,
All FR.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We wear coveralls. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to wear coveralls. Where you guys you can wear whatever you want as long as it's FR.
Pretty much, yeah. So you can wear.
Fucking so lucky.
You can wear jeans, but then they allow us to wear extra toughs, like rubber boots, and those are not flame retardant. So, but they're allowed. So I don't really understand that. And then I don't know if you guys wear them during the winter, but over boots.
Over boots? What are those?
Yeah, like Neos. Have you ever heard of those?
Neos. No, I wear Baffins year round.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, rubber boots. They're rubbers. They go up most of the way to my knees.
Yep. That's like our extra toughs are the same way. And that's
Yeah.
what we wear during like dirt season and shit like that. But the over boots, it's like an insulated boot that actually your boot goes into.
Oh.
It has spikes and it velcros and yeah, keeps your feet fucking really, really warm. Because a lot of the times we'll do our pipeline work that we do is out on the ice. So.
Oh, there you go. You're back. You must have got a phone call.
Yeah, ignore. But yeah, trying to wear those rubber boots on the ice for 10 hours a day, it's just not. You can't wear enough sock to keep your feet fucking warm. So
yeah. I don't even try to keep the feet warm. You know, they're gonna get frozen, and they get too warm, they sweat, and then you're cold anyways. So
100%.
Yeah. Oh, it's happening again. Someone's calling. Mr. Popular over here. Oh shit. Oh, anyways, so let's talk about it. Today I got my code for Dirty Hands Clean Money Troll Clothing Co. I'm finally a brand affiliate, and I got it. It's Frost 10. Frost 10 is the code. So if you want your Dirty Hands Clean Money gear, head on over to trollclothingco.com. And yeah.
Are you there?
I'm here, buddy.
Oh, it froze up for a second. Oh shit.
I took the opportunity to drop my new code I got for Troll Clothing Co. today.
Yeah.
Dirty Hands Clean Money. I became an affiliate. So I'm stoked for that one. I was wondering for a couple of years now how the hell I get in there.
Yeah.
And I found a way in, man. And it's good to know people sometimes. And
100%.
It turns out I knew a lot of people that I didn't realize who they were or how they were affiliated. So I got in there. They put some words in for me, and they were doing this without me asking. I didn't ask. I didn't know they were pushing that for me.
Yeah.
And then I got a message, and within 2 to 3 days, here we are, man. It's like, hey,
that's fucking cool. That's fucking really, really cool.
Hell yeah. Frost 10 is my new code. So if you guys are looking for your Dirty Hands Clean Money gear, stickers, shorts, shirts, pants, flags, hey, support blue collar stuff, Frost 10.
Fuck yeah.
I got to choose my own code, which never happens. Usually if I get approached by a brand or whatever, they're like, hey, your code is this. Yeah. Right? And they're like, hey, choose a good code for you. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, Frost 10. It makes sense.
Well, and people are going to remember that because it correlates with your fucking name. So.
Well, usually it's like Dick Frost 89 or Frosty D 8910 or Frost 8910, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And D Frost 8910 I've had, and whatever, man. They're all good. They're all cool. They all help out. So tough, challenging times. Every time someone purchases something, uses that code, I think I get a little bit of a kickback, right? Yeah. So, I mean, challenging economic times, everyone's got to eat. Thanks for helping me out. Thanks for helping put food on my family's table, even if it's a little bit. So
absolutely, every single dime.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So how did you get started on social media?
So I was against social media forever. Like, other than Facebook for family, I was like, Instagram is stupid. Like, only stupid people use it. So stupid. And then I just started one day. Like, my beard was probably, I don't know, like, to that point, it's like a foot or something like that. And I've always lifted, so I've always trained. That's always been my thing. And I just started posting. I started an Instagram, got my handle, which was Gingerbeard Barbell, and just started posting. Now, if you looked at my page, you can see a lot of it is smutty. There's a lot of hairy, shirtless pictures. And stuff.
Yeah, there is. That's what got me into it.
I don't know if you've read through the comments, but if you ever have an opportunity, read through the comments. It can get fairly entertaining.
Well, I'll be doing that afterwards, man. I love reading the comment section of videos. Whenever I see a cringy video or a post, I go straight to the comment section.
Yeah, I'm harassed to no end by the same gender, which that stuff doesn't bug me. Attention's attention, and I know that it comes along with it.
Oh yeah. I get a lot of that love from that community as well because of the mustache.
Yeah, but some of the stuff that they send, and like, it's very clear that I'm married and that I have kids, and they're a prime example was one of them found me on Facebook the other day and sent me a picture of like their hard wiener in a pair of underwear, thinking that like, and I don't know what it is. Like, everybody throws out bait thinking they're going to be the one that springs me out of the closet and I'm just going to leave with them and ditch my wife and kids. But like, it's all in good fun, I guess. So
yeah, man, I got a couple of these guys actually. There's a guy where it all started on Instagram actually. When I launched my merch line, he was the first guy to buy merch off me.
Yeah.
And he was a follower for a long time, and I don't know if he's still active. I haven't checked in a while. I got really busy, and it's hard as you get bigger, it's really hard to like focus on the people that they're out of sight, out of mind, right? If you're not commenting or making yourself visible, I forget.
Yep.
Right? So especially as you get bigger. And his name's Brian. He's from Baltimore, I'm pretty sure. Okay. And every day he would send me a picture of him in the shower without a shirt on, and he'd be giving me a thumbs up, right? And I love Brian. He was on vacation with his husband, sent me pictures of him and his husband, and it was there was no harm, no foul, right? Like, correct. He didn't want anything. He was just joking around, He's like, hey. And then there's another guy on Snapchat. His name's ML. And I don't know how he found me. Well, I guess I know how. My Snapchat link is in my link tree. So he added me, and I add everyone back. And he started off by sending me a picture of his rock hard wiener.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I was like, wow, good morning to you, sir. Right? Yeah. Like, and because I commented once, he sent me every day without fail for months.
Yeah.
And I open them only to get rid of the notification.
Yep.
Sometimes I catch a glimpse. Most of the time I'd be like, right. And one day they stopped. A couple days of this, they stopped, and it's been a week. And so I messaged him like, dude, where you at? You all good or what?
Yeah.
And nothing for like months. And then one morning, quite literally, he erected from the dead. And he's been sending me pictures for a month now, just of this thing. And the other day, he actually, instead of a picture, he sent me a message, and he's like, dude, I just want a picture of you. Just send me a picture of you. I'll be all good for a little bit. I just need something to play with. I was like, shit, man, I post enough shit all over the internet.
You sent the picture, right? Didn't you?
No, I didn't.
No?
I thought about it. You got to keep the people happy.
Absolutely.
He's a loyal fan, if you want to call it that. I don't know. He's trying real hard, quite literally hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long time. So I've gone through waves where I was active on social media, and then I'd stop, and then I get real active, and then I stop, and now I'm active again. I started an online coaching business. I've trained a lot of people in the past, and it's just something that I'm passionate about. So I've been very fortunate over the years in my training to have trained around high level people who have given me knowledge, and I've turned around and I've given that to a lot of people and continue to do that. And why not monetize it too?
Are we talking high level like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone or what?
No, not that. It just in the arenas that I've been in powerlifting.
Yeah. I was gonna say, get me Arnie's number, but
I ain't that special.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been pretty active for the last few months, and because I get a lot of messages from the stuff that I post, how it inspires people and motivates people, and that makes the time that I put into it worth it. Even if I'm motivating one person to get off the fucking couch or do some push-ups or improve their life just a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I like
Hell
that
yeah.
shit. So
that's beautiful. Have you gotten any life-saving messages? Like, dude, you saved my life. I was eating a bag of potato chips watching like Bachelor USA or whatever it is. And
I have gotten a couple of those. Yeah, I have. And
that's cool, man.
I went through some commenting with somebody the other day, and they were talking about how they lack motivation and they're worried about what people think of them because they've got autism spectrum disorder. And both of my sons are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And I told them, I said, it's people like you as an adult that have that push forward and succeed that will inspire my boys. And it'll show my boys that just because they have autism spectrum disorder, that it's not going to keep them from having a successful life. So
absolutely, man. Like, look how many people are on the autism spectrum now that are leading, normal lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. How if you can't make eye contact with someone, that puts you on the spectrum when you're talking, right? If you're, it's they've widened the spectrum so much, and as medical advancements go, or become more so, it's crazy. Adult ADHD is another thing, right? Like,
right.
Obviously, if you got it as a kid, you're gonna have it as an adult. It's not just gonna go away. And I joke around about it all the time. I 100% have ADHD. I've learned how to sort of control it, know when it's starting to get out of hand or out of control, and I like find my happy place.
Yep.
And I like work on it, right? And part of that is this podcast. Part of it is my whole social media, right? Like, this podcast can get pretty ADHD sometimes, or ADD, or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Do you feel like that's contributed to your success? Like, have you been able to like redirect it?
Oh, so I think if anything, that might have made it worse.
Yeah.
For real. Like, people messaged me, especially the merch line in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't have a website.
Yep.
So people had to message me a lot. And I forgot a lot of shit, right? There's probably still stuff that hasn't gone out yet from 2 years ago. And now we got a website fairly quickly after that. And I have to learn how to set things down and walk away from some things because, something's got to give sometimes.
Right.
And, sometimes the social media has to go away for the night, right? And sometimes, I gotta just go do something else. There was a while there where all I did was post TikToks and Instagrams for 2 years. I didn't do anything else.
Yep.
I stopped hanging out with my coworkers after work. I stopped watching movies. And then one day my wife was on the phone and one of my coworkers invited me out. She's like, you need to go.
Yep.
You need to go out and you need to have fun. You need to be social again. Because the further down social media I went, the less social I became.
Correct.
Right. And And because of that, I saw a lot of good people, but I also saw a lot of bad people, and it skewed my image of humanity a little bit.
Yep.
And for a while there, it was like, who can I trust and who can't I trust?
Yep.
Right? Because I had been stabbed in the back by people I thought were friends that, I met one time.
Yeah.
Or I never met. And, some people thought, oh, this guy, I bought merch off this guy. Now we're friends. Now he owes me his time. No, I had to learn that real quick. You buy merch off me, thank you for the purchase.
Absolutely.
I don't owe you anything after that. I do give. If I see you, interacting in my live streams and whatnot all the time, and you're always supporting, I do talk. I don't like to follow. I can't follow everyone back.
Correct.
But like my rule was for a while there, if you make content, you follow me, I'll watch some of your content. If I like some of it, I'll follow you back.
Yep.
But if you follow me and you have no content, I'm not going to follow you back, right? I'm not just going to be an empty friend for you.
Yep.
Right? But then I had to break that a little bit. All right, you're in my life. You're interacting. You're there. You don't have content, you follow me, but you're a big part of my community. I'll follow. Let's do it.
Yep. I literally treat that the same way.
Yeah.
The exact same way.
Yeah, man. And it's been fun. I've ignored a lot of text messages over the last few years because I had to shut all the notifications for every app off.
Yep.
I can't have them on. Now at times I'll have 80 to 90 text messages unread from months ago. And I'll go back. My notifications for those aren't off. Yeah. I just I'm busy and I saw it pop up, and if it's my wife, I answer back. Yeah. If it's my boss, I'll answer back. If it's super important or someone that doesn't usually text me and it seems important, I'll answer back.
Yep.
If it's someone being like, hey man, how's it going? How are you? It's been a while. I'll be like, okay. If I remember this later, I'm coming back to say hi. And usually who's taking the brunt of that is my mom, where if I have 70 unread messages, as soon as I open hers, I'm down to 30.
Yep. It's so funny that you say that, because my mom would say I do the exact same thing, because I do the exact same thing.
She texts me the same thing every morning for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And she messages me in text, and she'll send the same message over on Facebook and Twitter and yada, yada, yada. I'll answer her back at some point, and I felt bad. I said sorry to her one time. She's like, hey, I saw you post somewhere today. I know you're alive and you're doing well. That's all I need to know.
Yep.
And I'm like, Jesus, Mom, you're making me. She lives fucking, Jesus. She lives 4,000 kilometers away. So, in where I'm from originally, Toronto area, I haven't seen my mom now in 2 years.
Shit.
2.5 years. So I say, hey man, I feel bad. I send her pictures of my daughters as much as I can, and I gotta get out there. I know I gotta get out there and visit. I know that my grandmother, my nana, she's not doing so hot either. So I gotta show a wild story about my nana. You're gonna get into this.
No,
2 years ago, she had 2 strokes back to back at Christmas time, or was it Thanksgiving? I think it was Thanksgiving. 2 years ago, 2 strokes back to back. She remembered a little bit, but she already had a little bit of early onset Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So that kind of fucked with her a little more. We talked a couple times after that, but then she didn't know who I was the next time we talked. And I was like, shit. And that stung because that's my grandmother, my nana, I didn't meet till 2013. My dad was adopted, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
So, like I said, that's going to be an upcoming podcast. So, so I didn't talk to her for 1.5 years. I felt so bad. But my uncle moved her closer to him so he could take care of her.
Yep.
And a month and a half ago, I get this text, and it's very cryptic. She's like, hey, she said my name, very misspelled. Are something something something, and I'm like, what the fuck is she trying to say? My wife decoded it. She's like, she's telling you she had a stroke in Manitoba, and now she's in Ontario in a nursing home. And I'm like, oh shit. So I messaged her back, and she sent me one back 2 days later, and I was able to decode it because my wife she transferred those amazing skills onto me. So I was able to decode it. I'm like, damn, okay. So I called her, and she didn't pick up, but she called me back like an hour later, and I was at work. So I answered it. I'm like, hey, give me time. I need to take this call. 40 minutes we talked for. She knew who I was. She came back. She's like, hey, and we had a good chat. I sent her pictures of my kids, and yeah, I need to get out there, man.
That's my grandpa passed from Alzheimer's. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's
a really, really tough one. And it's a trip who they remember and who they don't remember, because like there was my mom's cousin, and he hadn't seen her in like 15 years, and she like walks in the door, and he's like, oh, hey Jeannie, how's it going? Like, but had no idea who we were, didn't know who my mom was, like knew who grandma was because she'd been taking care of his ass for a billion years. But yeah, that's tough.
What? Yeah, it's oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's a wild ride, and I gotta get my uncle. My uncle agreed to come on because he grew up with her, and my dad did not. My dad was put up for adoption, and he's the youngest of the 4 brothers. And he agreed to come on to help me tell the story of how we all met. It's a wild freaking story, man. But he's really busy.
Yeah.
And like, there's a 2-hour time difference, so I gotta get him either when I have a day off and he can do it.
Yep.
Or like magic just has to work, you know. And I'm really terrible at scheduling these things. Most of the time, it's like, hey man, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. Want to do a podcast tonight? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, in an hour from now, let's go. Right? Like if we schedule too far out, like I can't promise I'm gonna remember.
Yep.
So I started putting them into my calendar to warn me, because I did piss someone off. Oh, I did piss someone off last week with that, and we're rescheduling. She was having a bit of a hard time and going through some shit, and set some time in her night aside for me, and we scheduled like 3 to 4 weeks out, and that was like, man, ADHD, bud.
Yeah. Gotta forgive me.
Yep. So, what's your coaching business? Like, what does that revolve around, and like, where can people find that, and like, what do you center it around?
So I'll offer a few different things. My background's in powerlifting, but I do general fitness too, and that's so the coaching that I'm doing now will be nutrition, fitness, and mindset. You know, trying to instill discipline into people that don't have it. And the way I try to explain it, like, I'm a normal dude, grew up, fairly normal circumstances, but like, it just took time to develop it. Like, I didn't always wake up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't always wasn't so regimental about my food and regimental about my training, and because there's so many people, when they see me doing it, they think I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's impossible. Like, you're the term's stupid, but built different. And like, I just took the time. I have an addictive personality, and that used to be directed towards booze, and now I'm sober. I don't drink or do anything, and I just redirected that into healthier things. So when I grab onto something, I grab onto it real hard, if you know what I'm saying.
Like a dog with a bone.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But I run it all through my Instagram page, Gingerbeard Barbell. That's my point of contact, and then I run everything off a private app. So I schedule workouts, build the workouts, schedule them, schedule your food, track everything.
Are you like the Peloton people and like Richard Simmons? You do like workout videos and shit?
No, I don't do no shit like that. I mean, obviously I post workout videos and I'll post up free workouts for people to follow. I just do that because not everybody's going to be able to afford what I'm offering, so I still try to give to the people, because I've been hit up a lot over the years. How do you train? What's your style of training? What do you do? I have no problem sharing that.
That's gotta keep you busy, man. Like you work 12 hours. You on a 12-hour schedule?
Yeah, we're on 12s. It's minimum 12s depending on the project.
Yeah.
And whether we're authorized more overtime or not. So that's why I get up at 2 there. That gives me an opportunity to train. It gives me an hour in the morning to put towards that, work on my shit. Then I go work, and then I get off work, shit, shower, eat dinner, and then I spend another hour and a half working on that shit before I go to bed. So,
wow.
When I'm home, I try to maintain that schedule just for the discipline aspect of things. If I start sleeping in here, then it'll carry over to there. And,
yeah.
So, yeah. The only time, honestly, I get to sleep in now is when I sleep in the airport. So I don't even get a hotel when I fly up. I sleep in the Anchorage airport. The night before, I have this little travel inflatable mattress. Fucking put it down on the ground with my fucking CPAP on. My fucking looking like a fucking beached whale sleeping in a hallway. But
that's deadly. I wish I had one of those when I was like hanging out at airports, flying back and forth.
Bro, it was the best $30 I spent on Amazon ever.
I won't even tell you what the best $30 I ever spent on Amazon was. It takes batteries and it vibrates.
My man.
And it's for me, bro. It's for me.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I work on the slope.
Yeah, you know what's up, buddy.
I know what's up. Oh yeah.
Apparently, I just learned that if you take like a vibrator, some vibrator. If you take a vibrator and like you just like put it on the tip and you let it do its thing, max 2 minutes, done.
No way.
I just learned this, dude.
So I always get hit when I go through TSA, airport security, and I just, if I'm flying by myself, they go through my bag and they find a fucking vibrator in there.
Hey, man,
my shit gets searched 100% of the time.
At least you ain't flying with no IEDs or anything, It's just a vibrator. At worst, they're just gonna chuckle and like laugh at you when you're not around.
I see the same TSA every 3 weeks, though.
Then you can joke around with them about it.
Yeah.
You could change someone's life, dude. I just changed yours. You pass that information along.
I will. I mean, there's a lot of dudes on the crew up there that it's mind-boggling what they don't have on them in their rooms.
Yeah, dude, and it doesn't even have to be in your room, bro. Are there porta potties there on site?
So we have Envirovacs, no porta potties, because bears and shit.
Yeah.
So
Envirovac.
Yeah.
Go in the Envirovac. 2 minutes, bud. It takes less time than having a cigarette.
Yeah.
I just changed your life, dude.
Probably. I'll have to test it out at home first.
Do it at work.
Gotta test.
Do it at work.
Well,
there are cream pies to make when you're at home.
So true.
No batch goes to waste when you're at home, bud.
No, that's a fact.
That's a fact, straight up. Hell yeah. No, I just changed your life, man. You're welcome.
Appreciate that. So what's your I know it's your podcast, but is your goal to do content full time, obviously?
That's a great question, man. And it's something I just started really thinking hard about in the last like 6-7 months, and my whole niche is based off of me being at work.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
Coveralls and hard hat. I mean, I could make it work outside of that. Like I could, keep the coveralls and the hard hat and stay home and go find a pump jack or a rig and whatnot. But then it wouldn't be genuine. And I think that's why it does so well, because it's real and I'm really doing it.
Yeah.
And would I like to? Sure, I'm making decent money at it. We're like not on TikTok, we are on the Creators Fund in Canada. Facebook pays pretty good. The heat waves, all these affiliations and stuff like that. I'm hoping, they'll add up and maybe one day the goal is to, but right now I'm just supplementing income, right? My wife's a stay-at-home mom. We have two girls, and this economy, that's extremely difficult and very hard, but we make it work, and that extra income really helps.
Isn't it a trip? Like a $100,000 a year job 5 years ago was like, that was the shit. You were doing fucking well. You were doing really well.
Killing it. You were killing it.
And now 6 figures, $120,000 a year ain't shit. Because I'm in the same situation. My wife stays home, which I prefer. She raises my boys, and nobody else is raising our boys.
Yep.
But it's still a stretch even with what I make, and I make good money. Like, I make very, very good money.
I know. I can't remember the stats sheet came out like a couple months ago for Canada and what each Canadian city you need to make in order to afford a home in. And I think it was like $180,000 in Alberta you needed to make to buy a house.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, $180,000. Keep in mind the American dollar goes further than the Canadian dollar does.
Yeah.
I know in Toronto it's like, oh geez, you need to be making like almost $500,000 to afford a home.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, dude, it's insane. And even minimum wage, if they raise the minimum wage to $18 an hour, you're just creating more problems, and really the minimum wage isn't even enough to do that, right? So yeah, it's expensive, but I had this conversation with Tired and Frozen Carl today, and good solid dude. And he said, that housing bubble has to pop at some point. And when it does, he just re-signed his mortgage, and it's nasty. But it's for 3 years. And he said, in the next 3 years, that housing bubble has to pop. He's like, I'll be laughing in 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip. We sold our house at the beginning of COVID, and the real estate agent, when we listed it, said that it'll never sell. It's going to sit on the market forever, blah, 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 blah. And then we had a full offer plus some, I think 5 days later, like first dude saw the house, bought it.
Yeah. Yep. Houses in Ontario, where I'm originally from, in Toronto.
Yeah.
So Buddy was asking 1.5 for his house, and someone paid 2.3 for it. And that's why that shit's happening all over, man. It's insane. Just disgusting.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a trip to see, because a few years ago we were making, I don't know what you make, but I'm sure it's probably not too much different than what we make.
Yeah, I make good money, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we got the carbon tax. I know in the city I live in Edmonton, they charge you 15 cents for a bag of McDonald's.
Yeah, it's 8 cents here in Washington for like a bag from the grocery store or whatever. So
I think it's a quarter, 25 cents for a bag at the grocery store. McDonald's recently started charging 15 cents. And so basically here's your food. One item at a time if you don't want to pay the 15 cents.
That's such a trip, man. Is it plastic or a paper bag?
It's a paper bag.
15 cents for a paper bag?
15 cents for a paper bag.
Now, will they, if you brought your own bag, would they put the food in your own bag?
Yeah, great question. Here's the real trip. Okay. So I live in Edmonton.
Yeah.
10 minutes away is Sherwood Park, which is technically, kind of sort of Edmonton, but its own city.
Yeah, like a suburb.
10 minutes away. If I go to the McDonald's 10 minutes away, I don't pay for a bag.
So that's like a local municipal ordinance or something?
Yeah, it's the city of Edmonton, yeah.
Okay, that's a trip. And what does that money go to?
Oh, buddy, probably fucking a private flight somewhere.
Yeah. Typically.
Probably a vacation,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're only on Instagram? You're not on TikTok or anything like that?
I have not my wife is a big TikToker, like loves TikTok, like most people do, and she's trying to get me to go over to it, and I should. I don't see why I don't.
I think you would have amazing success over there, and I think it would only help you grow more on Instagram.
I just don't know what my niche would be if I went over.
Same thing you do on Instagram. Do the workout, the oil and gas shit would take off, but do the life coaching, and do the workout shit as well. Talk about the North Slope, man. You know what I mean? Dude, oil and gas stuff on TikTok, blue collar stuff on TikTok.
I know they like that shit. Like people like that shit. It's relatable.
Oh yeah.
It's relatable because it's such a it's the largest field. I mean, blue collar work, the work in general, and people.
Well, think about this. Sorry, go ahead. Finish that thought. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say, think about it, right? Up until the last couple of years, nobody really knew what the inside of blue collar looked like. They just knew these people went to work, they got dirty, they were gross, they were uneducated.
Yep.
These people didn't want to go to college or university to become a lawyer or a doctor, so instead they put their bodies through hell and go do this.
Yep.
And it's a bad lifestyle, yada yada yada. And they're all cokeheads and womenizers and blah 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 blah.
There was a point in time.
What a point in time. That culture has changed quite a bit.
Correct. No,
yeah, but but now what TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the internet in general has done is give you an inside look into those fields and been like, these dudes, they're away from home, they sacrifice. They're getting dirty. And a lot of them, they're not stupid. They didn't go to college, university, but they're not stupid. And a lot of them did go to college and university.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them. A lot of them. They use the trades to pay for their way through college, university. I've worked with a lot of people who have done that.
Yep.
Or they got an education to, as a backup.
Yep.
Or maybe college education was their primary, but then the trades was their backup, and when they got to what they went to school for, it wasn't for them, so then they fell back on the trades.
Yep.
And then of course technical vocational trade schools, right? Like and that it's not all dumb people. Are there some dumb people? There are some dumb people, but like
that's in every arena though. Like that's
absolutely
every arena.
I've met some dumb doctors.
Yeah, well, and I've met a lot of dumb, highly educated people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was prescribed something by a doctor one time who had to Google my symptoms and prescribed me something that made what I had worse.
Yeah.
And I had to go to the ER, and the doctor at the ER looked at me. He's like, "Oh, you got this, and you went there, and he gave you this. Oh, that made it worse. You're not supposed to take that."
Yeah.
And then it made it worse, and therefore prolonged my pain and discomfort.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't a good time. I couldn't do any physical work at work for 2.5 weeks or so. They stuck me as a driver for Sandblaster. He didn't have his license, and he needed to do this. And so they're like, "You're going to drive this guy around and do this." And I sat in the truck with the AC blasting on me all day. It was great. But after a couple days of that, I'm like, I gotta do something, because I couldn't eat or drink.
Yep.
Right. So, and no matter how hard I tried, no matter how hungry I got and how painful it was, I couldn't do any of it. So I got out and I started lifting bags of the sand into the fucking cone or blaster or whatever the hell you want to call it. And I could do one or two, and I had to take a break.
Yep.
It winded me to do that. But I tell you, I remember where I was the day that I felt like I could eat again and I was good. I was in a little town in southern Alberta called Claresville. And I went and I got 2 teen burgers and a chocolate milkshake from A&W.
Oh, yeah.
And then on my way home, I had to pass through a town called Gasoline Alley or Red Deer. I stopped at Pete's Drive-In. And I got myself a milkshake there and another burger. And I just went to town, man. And I got home and then I ate my wife.
That's to touch on the doctor thing. So when my wife finally forced me to get sleep study done,
Yeah.
With insurance here, you have to get a referral before you can, see a specialist. And I went to a regular doctor and I explained my situation, and their first thing was to try to give me a sedative to sleep. And I said, well, lady, like, I stopped breathing while I'm sleeping. So, like, don't you think that would be a problem? I was like, I'm literally just here for a referral so I can go get a sleep machine.
Yeah.
And she's like, like, I thought you were here for pills. And I was like, no. And I said, why would you give me a sedative when I choke on shit and stop breathing? And yeah.
That's scary.
Well, yeah. That's just, some doctors don't pay attention and don't care.
Fucking weird, man.
Yeah, they're just quick to push pills, and that shit's super frustrating because that's...
Yeah, well, they get paid for that, right? So...
Yeah, but it's caused a lot of issues in our country, and I know it's caused a lot of issues in yours as well.
Canada's healthcare system is falling apart. That's a controversial statement. Some will agree, a lot will.
Yeah.
Our healthcare system is falling apart.
Yeah.
It is falling apart at the seams, whether it's because... I'm not even going to get into that. It's just falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to... Yeah, I got a lot of... I'm really pretty neutral in a lot of things, but I'm not, like, privately, like, I'm not neutral. I like to talk about politics and everything, and I try to steer away from that on my social media pages.
Same here. I don't ever touch politics on there.
Yeah.
The people that know me personally know my stances, and
yeah. Well, if you don't have to know me personally, you could just look at me, look where I work, and like some of the things I talk about once in a while.
Yeah.
You get a pretty good sense if you really pay attention. But I won't talk about it, right? I won't really. Oh, I have talked about it a little bit here and there, and it's hard not to sometimes.
Correct.
Right? It's just like, man, both sides of the political spectrum are both stupid AF.
Correct. Yeah.
Left wing, right wing, just two fucking wings of the same bird.
That's it right there, to a T. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
If I didn't feel an obligation to vote, I wouldn't do it.
Correct.
I vote because I'm a, I guess you could call me a single. Actually, up until the next election, every election up until this next one that's going to be coming up in like a year or two, I've been a single issue voter.
Yep.
My stance on that has changed over the course of the last 8 years a lot. I have changed as a person.
Yep.
I see a lot of dumb shit, and like it's more than just one thing. And if you want to get, it could be a single issue, and it's just the man. The man is the issue.
Our guys are very similar.
Yeah. Oh, they're two peas in a fucking pod, bud.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yours can maintain a full sentence, and mine can't. So.
Oh, he can barely complete a full sentence. He's got a lot of ums and ahs in there.
Yeah.
Hey, have you listened to my podcast before?
I have not. And so I've seen your TikToks. I've seen a bunch of your TikToks because of my wife.
Yeah.
And so like I was super stoked when you shot me a follow, and then like we got to talking. Like I was super stoked on that. I thought that was the fucking coolest shit ever. I still.
Well, I felt intimidated because I saw the size of your arms and your legs and saw that you followed me. When I said follow back, I'm like, I'm gonna get beat up if I don't follow back. Right? And that majestic beard, man. Jeez.
They wish I didn't have it.
You got food in that thing? Do you hide snacks in there?
Inadvertently, I hide snacks.
Is it really like Peter Griffin, where you got a bird's nest in there, and you're just hiding baby birds in there. You're like keeping them warm until they're ready to take flight.
I fucking wish.
That'd be so dope.
Yeah.
So so where I was going with that, it doesn't really matter. But do you know what viscosity is?
No.
You work out on the North Slope and you don't know what viscosity is?
No, the type of work probably doesn't correlate. So,
whatever.
Anyway, explain.
It has to do with like the thickness of like mud and water. The
Oh,
thickness
yeah.
or the
Yep.
viscous.
Yep. Sorry.
The viscosity of mud, right?
Yep.
Like the thickness of a load.
Yep.
Right. So where I'm going with it is the podcast is sponsored by the Mudman. And by the time anyone hears this, right now it's www.mudmanmarket.com. But we actually got our sponsor on the podcast like a couple weeks ago. By the time you listen to this, it's not out yet, but by the time this comes out, it will be. And so he said he purchased Mudman or Mud Market. I think it was Mud Market, mudmarket.com.
Yep.
So that's where you can find them now, mudmarket.com. For all your liquid, for all your drilling fluids and laboratory testing equipment needs and whatnot. And, solid dude just recently got engaged and I think November something, middle of November, he's getting married. So quick little
quick turnaround
engagement. Oh yes. Very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Solid guy. I don't know. By the time this one comes out, I don't know. We might be taking it. The podcast might be going. What's the word for that? Mobile. The podcast might be going mobile to Texas. Might be. That's a huge maybe. Episode 50 is coming up. We are coming up.
You just say it's going to happen. Manifest it. It will happen.
I'm trying to manifest it. I've made the phone call. I've talked to my potential 50th guest.
Yep.
And he stays out of the spotlight. He doesn't like attention. What happened to him was huge and it caused a lot of issues.
Yep.
And people died, and like a lot. And he lives in Texas. And I made the phone call and he said, call me back in a couple weeks. I don't know if he's taking that time to block my number or not, but I will call him back on a different phone if I have to. It's in my calendar and I'm calling back at 9 a.m. my time.
Yep.
So the Mudman has said that if I can get him on, the Mudman will pay for the podcast to fly and stay in a hotel in Texas.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man. And I'm stoked that guy's down for the cause. He's been a great person to have on my side through all of this. I get swag and this mic and headset because of the Mudman.
That's fun.
And yeah, man, it's been great. And possibly a trip to Texas for episode 50, which that's my plan A. That is my only egg in the basket at this time being. And I gotta manifest it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Are
you writing it down every day?
I should, but it's up here. And when I had that phone call, I was at work. So the fact that the Mudman also helped me get his phone number, by the way, we talked about it. And he's like, let me make some calls. I know people all over the world and in the industry. So he found the number and 8 hours later had it to me.
That's awesome.
And he's like, I know a guy that knows him, yada, yada, yada. He's like, make the call. So I did. And I was at work. And after I made that phone call, we chatted. And the Mudman said, that's one you got to do in person and I will pay for it. After he said that, I found it very hard to concentrate at work.
Yep.
My mindset was not there. Mind not on task. I was very complacent.
Yep. That's a problem.
It was. And I had to get out of that. I had to go sit down for a few minutes and I had to, before something happened. So, yeah. But I should have waited to make that phone call. I should have waited until after work or something, but I was excited. I saw the number. I'm like, dog with a bone, blinders on. Let's do it.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome. That'll be big for you then, huh? If you can steal that deal, that'll be big.
It will be. It will be big for me. This I think is 45 or 46. So we got 4 or 5 weeks to go.
That's awesome.
So this week you told me to call him back in 2 weeks. This week will be 1.
Yep.
So I still got another week to go. And I hope it's a yes. If it's not, I respect his privacy and his right to say no and carry on. I don't hold it against him. I really just wanna. That's my white whale, as Joe Rogan would call it.
Just remember that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, dog. So.
Absolutely. I don't know how much to bug him either, because when I phoned him, he said call me back in 2 weeks. He doesn't really like to talk. He tries to stay on the spotlight. Yada yada yada. And I then text him like twice after that, like right away. I'm like, hey man, even if you say no, I'd still like to chat with you off camera, like not, maybe on the phone. We don't even have to talk about that incident. I just like you as a person.
Yep.
We could chat about anything. And if you don't even want to do that, I appreciate you taking the time out. Send him the link to my podcast. Like, this is what I do. It's not big time or anything like that. I just like having fun. Conversations or my thing. I like to talk to people, and so I gave him the link, and the ball's in his court now. So this is what it's about. And yeah, man, shout out to the Mudman though for making dreams come true. So
hell yeah, shout out to the Mudman.
Hell yeah, man, I love that guy. Got amazing gear. I wish I knew where my shirt was.
And can you repeat that website one more time?
So right now it'd be www.mudmanmarket.com, but you could try www.mudmarket.com. See if that one's up and running yet, because he just bought the rights to that one. So.
Okay.
Hell yeah, man! It's oil field related gear and stuff like that for mud systems on the rigs.
Cool.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. Awesome. Really good guy. Awesome. Solid individual. Been to my house. Happy to call him a friend.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So where do you see your training and stuff, coaching going in the next 5-ish years?
So I'm hoping that within the next year it's a full-time gig. That's what I'm doing.
Trying to move away from the slope and be home full-time?
Yeah, I want to be with my boys. I miss out a lot with them.
Get on TikTok, buddy. Get on TikTok. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, you've convinced me. My wife's been telling me, but I needed to hear it from somebody else that is actually successful on it.
Oh, I don't know about successful. I think if I was in America, I think my following could be bigger, right? Because it pushes out to your geographical location. Like, you got guys in California with hundreds of thousands and millions of followers.
Yep.
Canada, I'm small time, man. I'm just having a good time. I mean, 70,000 on one account, 33 or 34 on the other, over 100,000. Sure, I am successful in my own mind. Some people like to throw the word celebrity around. I still got to go to work every day, and like, so maybe I'm like, shit, who's a celebrity that has to work? Let's say Mary J. Blige. She showed up for the Super Bowl a couple years ago. She had to book time off of work at Wendy's. So
yep.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. No, man. Get on TikTok. Definitely get it. You've already got following going on Instagram. Get on TikTok, but that's all I can say. It's organic growth. I bet you'll see a lot of success over there.
Okay. You've convinced me. I'm gonna check it out. I own, like, I have the handle. I set it up once. I've never uploaded anything to it. So like, I own the Gingerbeard Barbell handle on TikTok. So
hell yeah.
I think I have it on Twitter too. I don't ever tweet. I don't think I've touched the Twitter, but maybe
Twitter pisses me off. If you don't like politics, stay the fuck off Twitter.
Yeah, that's exactly why I won't go there. And I had somebody steal some of my images on there one time, and that's happened a million times. I've had people use my images to catfish people and shit, but the stuff they were posting in correlation with my photos was a little frustrating. So,
whew.
Yeah,
man, you need to, it's time. It's time to hit that TikTok button. It's time to grow your following over there. And the best part is you can repurpose that over on Instagram, right?
Yep.
You can Like, there are so many good sounds. Like, I'm thinking off the top of my head, the trending sounds that you could use to like grow.
So do you use those? Does that help?
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's sort of. I used to do a lot more original content, me just talking.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes I don't got time for that.
Good.
Sometimes what I have to say is inappropriate. So like,
Yeah.
it's just like, I'm gonna stick over here.
Yep. Absolutely.
I ain't about getting canceled today. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll start working on that tonight before I go to bed.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Wow.
So what time do you usually go to bed at? And I don't know if you finished your story about where you want this to go. I know you said full time, but like,
Correct.
what does that look like?
Obviously replacing my current income. So I also want to branch that into a brick and mortar gym as well. That's always been, and so I have a buddy here where I live that wants to do it, and he also has, he'd be able to throw skin in on it, so it would be an equal partnership, so equal risk. But I'd want to be home to do that because I've wanted to own a gym, and I know that they're super difficult to, make money on. But if I'm living comfortably, if I can get the coaching business to where I can be living comfortably, then I would be okay just floating that. Just to give people a cool space to train.
You're becoming like Rocky here, man. Like you're gonna have a gym like Rocky, right? Like
I would hope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So when do you hope that to like start happening? Like the next year, next 2 years?
Next 2.
Yeah. Dude, good for you.
Yeah.
Is this ambitious? Like is it doable?
It's doable.
Fuck yes. Get on TikTok, it's even more doable.
Yeah. I'm gonna get on there, man.
Social media, man. I say it every day. It is a fucking ride. Like it has changed my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the worst.
Yeah.
For the worst. Sometimes sometimes for the worst.
Yep.
Sometimes you look back, you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But then 99% of that is it's changed it for the better.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's helped me meet incredible people all across the planet. It's helped me connect to the industry that I'm proud to be a part of.
Correct.
It's helped spawn this podcast where I get to have amazing conversations with other blue collar dudes, and they don't even have to be blue collar people. I just like talking. So, if I figure I can get like an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes we've gone 3. If I feel like I can get some time out of someone that and then not be a complete snooze fest, hell yeah, let's chat.
Yeah. What made you start the podcast?
So, I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? And I listen to History of the 90s and the Second Act podcast. Good friend of the podcast, Gord, by the way. Listen to the Second Act podcast.
Okay.
Do you listen to podcasts at all?
I do.
The Second Act podcast is one you're going to want to listen to as well as History of the 90s. Gord lives not too far from me.
Yeah.
I've been on his. He's been on mine. Great dude. Has some really interesting guests on. I think you would actually fit well on his, especially when you get your what's right now is a side hustle. Once you can make that full time.
Yep.
And then so I listen to a lot of podcasts, and we drive a lot, right? As blue collar workers, we drive from town to town, hours at a time, flying for hours at a time.
Yep.
Sometimes listening to your musical playlist just gets old.
Correct.
Listen to a podcast. That's why they're so lengthy. They're an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Kill that time.
Yep.
You gotta make it interesting. And so that happened. And last year we started, I guess, a podcast. Me and another guy. We started a podcast where we co-hosted, and it was decent. I thought it did pretty good actually. We made it to episode 10, but episode 10 before episode 10 went out, we fell apart, and episode 10 was up for maybe half a day, and we decided to call her quits and go our separate ways. I think it was creative differences was cited. I didn't make that decision, so I don't know. But so I knew I wasn't done when that went in separate ways. I needed to. I was bummed out about it. I stopped listening to podcasts for a couple months, but I knew I wasn't done, and I wasn't done with podcasts in general.
Yep.
I just needed time away from that to think and reflect on what had happened. And I was trying to think of a name. I have a series on TikTok called On the Throne with Dick.
Yeah.
And so it's on I have 2 TikTok accounts. That one's on my main one. And so the name was there, On the Throne with Dick. Perfect. Except for I didn't put with Dick on here. It's hard pressed to find listeners to listen to something with Dick in the title.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, whoa, so whatever. And then when I came back and I discovered, hey, you know what? Like, I was a little nervous at first about going on it on my own. But man, I treat every episode the same, whether it was episode 1 or episode 45, 46.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just as anxious about getting it going. I'm just as anxious on release day, and it's my baby. And that last one, we only made it to episode 10. This one, but I'm 40, almost 40 episodes past that.
Yeah.
And one a week in 45, 46 weeks. I haven't missed a Tuesday, so we're clipping along, man. And it was a fun experience, and it's something that I didn't want to I wasn't done. I had more to give.
Yep.
And so this came with it, and I've really surprised myself. I've really surprised myself, and I had Ed the Sock on. You probably don't know who Ed the Sock is. He was iconic in Canada.
Okay.
In the late 90s, early 2000s. And he said it himself. Sometimes reaching out is like 90% of the fun.
Yep.
Right? So like 90% of the time, I don't get an answer back.
Yeah.
The other 9% of the time, it's a no when they do answer back.
Yeah.
And 1% of the time, someone will be like, yeah, let's do it. Right?
Yeah.
So I'll send out like 50 asks, and one or two people will respond. One will be no, one will be yes. And I'm like, cool, let's keep going. So just trying is fun, reaching out. Man, some of the people that I've had the balls to reach out to that I've answered back with, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. And I've created some really good friendships off of it, right? Like we come out of it, we go into it not knowing each other. I don't do my homework. I keep it that way on purpose.
Yeah.
Because if I do my homework and I keep to a schedule of what we're going to talk about, it feels scripted, and I'm ADHD, so it's hard to stay on that track.
Correct.
So I just hey, fuck it. Let's follow the conversation. It goes where it goes. Right?
Absolutely.
There are times where we're talking about fucking farming or working in the oil field.
Yep.
Someone will say something about Pokemon, and it goes towards Pokemon for a half hour. And it's like, half hour Pokemon, and Buddy's like, dude, sorry. I'm like, I don't fucking care, man. That's an awesome conversation. This is what this is about.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. It's been pretty amazing. Oh, dude. I'm proud of myself and where it's come.
50 episodes. That's a lot. Most people give up. Well,
the average podcast doesn't make it to 20, right? Yeah. So it dies out after that because I had an advantage a lot of new podcasts don't have.
Yeah.
And that's I already have a following on the internet.
Correct.
Across the internet, I've got close to 200,000 followers, maybe more. I don't know, just under, give or take. And so if I could convert a fraction of that into listeners, I'm already doing better than 99% of the podcasts that start.
Absolutely, 100%.
So and then for me, it's not about that anymore, the views, and it's cool that they're there. But it's not about that. The quality of the conversation, the fun I'm having, that's all that matters.
Fuck yeah. Absolutely.
Fuck yeah, man. And that's all that matters to me. Gives me something to do. It's my outlet. My wife, she's on board with it. She loves that I do it. And to be honest with you, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, how long is that shit gonna last for?
No, it'll run out at some point.
It'll end. It'll end.
Yep.
This won't end. I could go on with this forever.
Correct.
Right? And so I'm also preparing for a life after that, right? Like, so, hey, make hay while the sun shines. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, buddy. Hey, what time is it there?
It's 8:45.
Oh, good. You're only an hour behind. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
I'm not gonna keep you for too much longer here, though, man. Yeah. You're a guy who likes to get to bed early, get up and fucking
3.
just pump that iron, man. Like,
Get all greasy and grunt.
Oh, do you grunt?
It depends on the movement. I'm not like if I'm deadlifting heavy, it's inevitable I'm gonna fucking grunt, but I'm not.
Give me your best grunt. Let's hear it.
How was that?
Is that like the best you got?
That's a pretty average.
That's the thing. You're giving me right now. You're giving me the same shit the wife gets after 3 weeks in the bush. Yeah. 3 weeks on the slope.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, man. So one last question to end her off here, I guess. You've never listened, so that's good. This last one stumps a lot of people, and I love it. Mount Rushmore has 4 of the most influential people in like North American history on it. If you could have your own Mount Rushmore, people that you look up to and aspire to be, who would they be and why? 4 people.
Jocko Willink.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him or read his leadership books.
Never.
I recommend that anybody reads his shit because leadership is transferable to all aspects of your life. Andy Frisella.
Oh, I fucking love that guy. I listen to his podcast, Real AF.
Yeah, so I've been listening to him since the MFCEO project back in 2015.
He's like a young person's Joe Rogan.
Correct. And I liked him just for the business aspect. I was at a weird point, and he got me out of a slump. And then Nick, I don't want to chop his name, Kalamadamis, I think that's how you say his name. So he was a military guy too, and he wrote a book that helped me through a very difficult point in my life, and it was geared more towards military returning to civilian life, but it was transferable to drastic life changes. And what was really cool is I reached out to him when some stuff happened, and I told him how influential his book was and how helpful it was towards me, and I never heard anything back. And then a year later, he stumbled upon my message and reached out and was like, "Hey man, how are you doing all right? Sorry it took so long." And that shit's cool to me. But what he does now and the books that he writes have been very helpful. Trying to think of the last one.
Hold up. Are you a military vet?
I am not. No.
Okay. I was like, oh, I thought you said he's also one, and I was like, oh.
No, nope. No, I'm a pussy. So
yeah.
No.
Same. I would never go fight someone else's war.
That's after I finish that, I'll touch on that, but it's completely different category. 4th.
It gets people every time, man.
Probably
some people.
John C. Maxwell. He's an author. He's a leadership book author. I've read a lot of his books, so that's one of my. When it comes to reading and self-help, leadership books are my favorite, just solely on the basis of how transferable it is to whether it's work or team or family. Yeah, that's definitely probably the 4th one.
Hell yeah. That's a solid lineup of people, man.
Yeah. I fucking forgot what the fuck I was gonna say.
Why you're a pussy and you won't go fight someone else in the war?
Okay, so I was getting tattooed by a buddy, and the dude's a biker. He's an outlaw biker. I won't say his name, but he's a good friend. And have you seen that show Alone? Basically, it's a survival show, and they throw them out in the bush in Alaska.
Yeah.
They say fucking survive long as possible. And you have like, you sit and watch that show with people, and they're like, yeah, I could fucking do that. Like, I could fucking do that. And we were both like, we could absolutely not do that shit. We are too fucking soft to do that shit. I'm like, I'd have to have my CPAP, or I'm just gonna wind up dying in the forest. I ate too much fucking food. I couldn't do it. You couldn't pay me enough money to do it. Like 500. I think the winnings on that are like $500,000, and
nah,
like $500,000 is not.
That ain't getting you shit now.
No, that's like, it's not. If you invest it correctly, maybe, but that's, you're not going to see the return on that quickly.
Fuck.
So
no.
like, it's not life-changing money. So, but one of them we watched, it was the fat dude that won. He was able to outlast everybody because he was fat.
Got like 20 years of stored up fucking food.
Exactly.
Man. He's stored up all his energy for that moment. He's like, hey, you know what? Like, I'll eat you if I got it.
Well, and listening to his story, that probably was life-changing money for him.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, someone living on the streets and those tents and shit like that?
Yeah.
That's life-changing money for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good question. That was a good, your Mount Rushmore question is a phenomenal question.
Yeah, man, I had a boss actually ask us that in orientation a few years back.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? Like, who's on your Mount Rushmore? And I was like, fuck. Man, that's a wild question. And mine's changed so much in the last couple of years. Like, I think Austin Matthews was a hockey player for the Toronto Maple Leafs, was on my original Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
Yeah, it's changed, man. And like, yeah, it's been a wild ride, and you get some really interesting feedback on that. Some people are like, I don't look up to anybody, and some people are just like, myself, I've come a long way. Good. Yeah. That's huge. That's a good person to look at. And my mom, my dad. If you're gonna listen to any episode, I can't remember what number it is. Go back and listen to the Teddy episode. Chase Barber. It's called Teddy because he would put Teddy Roosevelt on his Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Teddy Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt's an amazing human being. I learned so much just from that fucking 20-minute long tangent about Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah. That is amazing.
Yeah, buddy. Fuck yeah. Thanks for coming on, bud. I'm not gonna keep
Thank you for having me on.
You gotta go to bed. You gotta go to bed.
Gotta be up early.
I'm a baby. Go. One more grunt. One more. Oh, brother.
I got all kinds of brothers.
I might too. I might have woke up my kids doing that, but fuck it. Who cares? You only live once, right? My wife's gonna kill me. Yeah, man. No, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, man. I'm so happy that we were able to make it work. I know, you didn't want to do it while you were on the slope, and we were scheduled to do it another time, but other shit came up, and right away. Hey, man, that's life. This is life, man, and I love that you were able to make it work, man.
Yeah, I'm very thankful and honored to be on. Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah, man. I'm honored that you're honored.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
That just makes me hard.
I'm hard right now. I've been hard like the whole time. So.
Oh, send me the snaps.
I will.
Yes.
Side profile.
Yeah. What is it? Yeah. Side. Yeah. Yeah.
Did he at least put cool backgrounds in it? Or was it just the same thing over and over again?
You know what? I actually paid attention to the background more than I did the dick. Like polka dot sheets and like a flannel blanket one time. I think he was on a toilet another time. In his car once. That was kind of cool. Shit. There was quite a few. The curvature of his wee man freaked me out a little bit. So I had to focus on other shit in the picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to get into like, why does mine look like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't spend a whole lot of time looking at other dudes' junk. So, you know,
No.
like when I do, it's like, oh, okay. You know, mine does not like that.
Yeah.
Is mine normal? Am I normal?
We are not the same.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like one time my boss and I got into a conversation about micro penises. And like I'm like, okay, so I Googled micro penis. And my cloud is linked to home. And my wife talked to me that night. She's like, do you think you got a micro penis? And I'm like, no. She's like, it's okay if you think you do. And you don't. But like, do you think? I'm like, no. We were literally having a conversation. She doesn't understand blue collar guy talk.
Yep.
So like, we were literally having a conversation about micro dicks. And
Yep.
like, I had to Google it. I had to know what a micro penis looked like. And she's like, all right. She's not convinced.
So before we hop off, I'm just curious, culture-wise, where you work and where I work. Does your talk get pretty gay with the dudes you work with?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
man. Blue collar dudes are some of the gayest straight men you'll
Yeah.
ever meet.
Yeah, okay.
Hell yeah.
Just seeing if it was the same.
Hell yeah. Man, there's
'Cause
a lot of dick sucking talk and a lot of like sometimes they try to grab.
Yes. So I was in the truck with some buddies yesterday in town, and I started talking like I normally talk when I'm on the slope, and they were like, "What in the fuck?" And they're blue collar guys too. Like one of them, he's a general contractor and runs his own business, but he's an old school guy.
Yeah.
So when I was saying this shit, they were like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, fucking dudes for dominance. Like it's not gay if it's for dominance, right?
It's not gay if you don't make eye contact.
Yeah, like you know, like fucking Mike Tyson said, you fuck them till they love you. Like it's just dominance, right?
It's
right?
not gay as long as you don't push back, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to push back to up the weirdness level, but like,
yeah, you're just trying to see if they're gay. Like,
hey man, I'm just testing the waters here. You know, like I've told my wife plenty of times, if this goes south, I got a whole other like. There's a whole other like roster over here ready to go, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Like I found out over the last couple of years, man. Like if I cut myself off to one whole gender, I'm cutting myself off to at least 50% of the world's love.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Fuck, man, you got to keep an open mind.
100%.
Especially when you got a beard like that and a mustache like this.
It's a fantastic mustache.
Can you imagine like some other dude just like just pulls you in for a kiss?
Oh, I'm surprised nobody's tried it.
Would you pucker up and kiss back?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Are they handsome?
Does it matter?
That matters.
I
Because
don't
I'm
know if it
handsome.
matters.
I'm handsome, so they would have to be as handsome.
I've kissed some pretty ugly ladies in my day, you know, like, you know, the ugly ones kiss better.
Yeah, they try harder.
That's not true, babe.
Oh, cool.
Oh, buddy. This has been fun, bud. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Better call her there before I get too much trouble.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time, brother.
Absolutely, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Check out this excellent outro music. Surprise, it's the same as the intro.